The Sea Priestess by Dion Fortune, Part 2. Vivien le Fay Morgan is no mere mortal. She is an elemental, a water fairy, and perhaps even Morgan le Fay herself. Her power flows from the sea, but here lies the paradox. Does she control the water, or does the water control her? Like the nymphs of Greek mythology, Vivien's strength comes from her environment, and being severed from her true home in Avalon weakens her. For Vivien, the sea is her lifeblood, but without the sacred waters of Avalon, she risks dissolving into the elemental fabric from which she was born. Water gives her life, but it also demands from her. Without it, she risks losing herself, dissipating back into the elemental essence from which she came. The power Vivien wields is ancient and vast, far beyond the shores of Brent Knoll, stretching back to the myths of the sea nymphs who commanded the waters and shaped the destinies of mortals who ventured too close. Yet this power is not inherent in her. Far from Avalon, she must recharge through ritual sacrifice, a merging of spiritual forces. When Wilfred submits to her in the temple, their energies unite, allowing her to draw deeply from the elemental current. But in the end, she remains bound to the laws of her nature, powerful but always at the mercy of the very element she embodies. The sea sustains her, but it is also her master. To survive, Vivien must live in a constant connection with water, never fully free, yet never fully controlled. But not just any water will sustain her forever. Only the waters of Avalon give her lasting life, a place it appears that she may never return. Humans, with their independent souls, are on a path of individual evolution, destined to transform into angelic forms in the distant future of New Jupiter. Unlike us, elementals, creatures like Morgan le Fay, are part of a collective spiritual force. In their transition, earth, fire, water, and air will rise together, harmonizing with the universe. Morgan, as a water fairy, must merge with her element on a spiritual level to maintain the essence of her being. Her fate, however, contrasts with the tragic tale of another water elemental described by Dion Fortune, a priestess captured and used by human priests for power. She, bound in an unnatural relationship fueled by human sacrifice, was caught in a web of abomination, dependent on death to survive. Her liberation came when a clever human outwitted the priests, choosing to merge with the priestess physically, freeing her essence back into the sea. Morgan le Fay understands the dangers of being discovered. Like the captured priestess, she knows that if she's caught, she could face a similar fate. She must continually move, wandering the earth, staying one step ahead. For though her body remains youthful, the years press on. Always alert, always bound to the rhythms of her element, Morgan's journey is one of survival and spiritual renewal, tied intimately to the element she commands. Vivien le Fay Morgan doesn't seek a physical sacrifice. She seeks something far more profound. She needs a willing surrender of both body and spirit, a man who can incarnate her other half, the moon priest, the essence of the force that controls the water. This joining would tie her once more to the great waters, a spiritual merging far beyond the physical realm. Wilfred, though unaware at first, becomes central to this act. He rebuilds her temple, physically and spiritually offering himself to her, preparing for the ritual. Vivien rebuffs his physical advances. For her goal is not simple desire, but spiritual ascension. As she shapes Wilfred, healing his body and strengthening his spirit, she transforms him into something more, the priest of the moon, capable of completing the elemental union that will restore her power. Vivien's desire to create the fire of Azrael reflects this deeper purpose, a fire fueled by sandalwood, cedar wood, and juniper wood, symbolizing purification, grounding, and healing. The fire represents transformation, not just for Wilfred, but for herself, as she invokes forces of life, death, and rebirth. Through Wilfred's submission, the merging of the priest's moon with Vivien will awaken the elemental forces needed to recharge her essence and allow her to continue her journey. Wilfred, having completed Vivien's temple, paints a mural to symbolize the life force of the sea, perhaps a vision of Avalon itself. In the heart of the mural, he paints the priest of the moon, a figure that he will have a spiritual connection with during Vivien's powerful invocation. As Vivien begins the ritual, she calls upon Shaddai El Chai, the living God. She then calls upon E, also known as Enki, the Sumerian god of water and creation, representing the primal life-giving force of the water. She next invokes a chorus of the most powerful feminine deities. Bina, in Kabbalah, the divine feminine Sephirah of understanding, bringing order and structure to the cosmos. Gaia, the embodiment of the earth, symbolizing the endless cycles of life, death, and renewal. Astarte, a goddess of fertility, war, and sexuality, embodying both creative and destructive forces. Aphrodite, the essence of love and beauty, channeling the power of attraction and the creative impulse. Ashtaroth, an ancient goddess of fertility, sexuality, and battle, symbolizing the union of opposites. Hera, queen of the gods, representing divine rulership, marriage, and the feminine power of sovereignty. Persephone, goddess of the underworld, embodying transformation, rebirth, and the eternal cycles of life and death. Levana, symbolizing intuition, the subconscious, and the mysteries of the night. And Hecate, the goddess of magic and the crossroads, ruling over transformation, the underworld, and unseen forces. Finally, she invokes Isis, the ultimate divine feminine figure of magic, resurrection, and transcendence, aligning her own transformation with the ancient power of rebirth that Isis commands. The invocation is the culmination of Vivien's ritual, merging her elemental essence with the spiritual force of the moon priest and the vast powers of the sea. As Vivien le Fay Morgan, the water fairy, completes her invocation, she walks into the sea, merging fully with her elemental essence, rejuvenating herself in an act of spiritual ecstasy. She leaves Wilfred behind, now an empowered man, and disappears into the waters, her fate shrouded in mystery. Has she been reborn into another time and place, or did she transform in the night and quietly drive away? Her car, gone by morning. Her whereabouts remain unknown. Wilfred, on the other hand, makes a pact with the moon priest, choosing to come under the initiation of Isis, marking the beginning of his own spiritual journey, one that deserves an exploration of its own. Wilfred is crucial to Vivien's transformation. As Dion Fortune clearly states, no one can sacrifice for another. We must sacrifice ourselves and thereby gain the power to give magical help to each other. That's the power of his initiation to Isis. He chooses the greater death of self by initiation, rather than the lesser death of the body. As for Morgan le Fay, her story doesn't end there. She reappears in myths and tales in France, Germany, Italy, and even in contemporary movies and TV series. She appears in New York and Los Angeles. In DC Comics, she appears all over the world. Furthermore, Morgan le Fay is immortalized in art and literature. Dozens of artists have painted her, and countless authors have written about her. She walks among us to this day, her presence felt by all who have the clairvoyance to feel the elemental powers of nature.